Welcome to my tutorial series on the GNU image manipulation program. Today I'm going to be showing you some of the very basics of GIMP. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's new about GIMP, how to go into the single window mode with GIMP, how to create a new image in GIMP, and a basic overview of some of the tools. Very brief overview of some of the tools. So when you first open GIMP, you might notice that you'll have these three windows that open. And these three assuming, of course, that you've downloaded the most recent version, which is 2.8. 2.6 is a very good version. It's the version I learned on and the version I love to use, but a lot of people don't like it. 2.8 fixed a lot of the issues that I personally had with GIMP, primarily the issue with the windows. The fact that there are so many windows open and that you don't really know what you're keeping track of. Especially if you're working with up to 10 images at a time, you had like 10 different images open on your toolbar. But the cool thing is that now I have them all in one place and all of my images are tabbed. But that only works if you're in single window mode. Now this is how you do it in Windows XP and also Vista and 7. This also works, which my personal computers also have. That's how you change it. But these, in a Mac, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I do recommend Googling it because that's a great way to teach yourself and a great way for, I think anybody can teach himself. And there's so many different resources on this. So the way to do it on Windows is you go to Windows, obviously, or not obviously, interestingly enough, maybe it's a pun. It's not even a pun. I don't know what I'm saying. It's 12:24 a.m. as you can see. What you do is you select single window mode. And what that does is that creates a single window for you. I'm going to double click on this to maximize it. And all of my stuff is right here. It's pretty cool. So let's say I want to create a new image. The quickest way to do that, well, the thing is that if you look at the title, it's the GNU image manipulation program. It's not the GNU image creation program. What GIMP usually does is takes an image that you already have and changes it into something else. And that's kind of what the point of our project in this class is supposed to be for. So just to give you an idea, you can create new images, new drawing spaces, but normally you're going to be working with an image that you've gotten off the internet in some capacity or gotten from your files to manipulate it and make it into something else. But to create a new image and something new to work with that you can play around with, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. A little bit of Latinate sentence structuring there. Anyway, so I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to New, or I personally prefer using keyboard shortcuts. If you use keyboard shortcuts, your life becomes a lot more easy, and it's a lot easier, and you become a lot more fluent in the program, I think. So if I press Control-N or File New, it'll do the same thing, and it will open up this dialog box, create a new image. Now, as you can see, there's the image size that I have to specify, the width and the height, which is 800 by 600, and I can also change that to inches, millimeters, whatever. Honestly, play around with this. 800 by 600 is actually a pretty good template, but let's say I want to do, I'll do 60 or then. Well, basically, what I want you to look at is the fact that if you open up these templates, there are a lot of different options you can use. 640 by 480 is actually a decent size to work with. Again, what size you actually work with, of course, depends on what you're actually doing. So I'm just going to press OK, and then pretty quickly it opens this up. So, oh, that's interesting. So here's this new image, and this new image does not have transparency, typically. And so if I erase this, all that's going to show up is my background color, which we'll talk more about foreground and background colors in the future. But if I change my background color and I go to the eraser, this is what I'm erasing to because this is my background. Now, another really important shortcut I think everybody should learn. I don't care if you do this. You really shouldn't be doing this in the what's it called? I forget what these are called. The menu options. What you want to do is you want to use a shortcut. And the shortcut is Control-Z. It's not that hard to learn. It's basically Control plus the closest letter to Control. What that does is that undoes whatever you just did. So I'm pressing Control, then Z, and it's gone. It's like it never happened. But let's say I want to redo it. Then you can just press Control-Y, and then it's done. But Control-Z is probably your most useful shortcut. Control-Z, Control-Y, Control-Z, Control-Y. And the cool thing is that you can do this for any number of things. So I can do, let's say I want to paint with my foreground color, which we'll talk about more in a second. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Y, Control Y, Control Y. And how that works, you'll kind of find out if I do this and then do that. I can't really do a Control Y with what I've already done, but I can do a Control Z, Control Y now because the trail has changed. Okay, not really sure where we went there, but I just wanted to give you, just kind of play around with different takes. Just wanted to show you, just do a quick overview of the tools again. So you're looking at the layers here, which you're going to concentrate more on later. We'll talk about layers in more detail at some other point. And then these are, you're going to be concentrating usually on these tabs right here, your tool options, your channels, you really don't worry about. Those have to do with colors. Your paths, which is really in GIMP semester 2, if you will, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And these are your various trails of do's and undo's. So that's pretty cool. Now, just to give you an overview of these tools, these up here are selection tools. You can select things with various precisions. We'll talk more about that later. And these are paths. Worry about that next semester. Again, this is a color picker. This is zoom. We're going to talk more about that later. This is a measurement tool. I don't really use that. This is a movement tool. This is a crop tool. These tools all around here basically stretch and skew and do things to the image. This is a text tool to add text to your image. Go figure. This is a bucket fill tool. Works exactly like it does in MS Paint, where you just kind of fill it like that. This is a gradient tool. Gradients are awesome. I wouldn't worry too much about them. Basically creates things like this. It'll only do it to selection though. So because everything is selected, it does something pretty cool like that. You'll play around with that more as you do more advanced things. There's a pencil tool. It paints things with not much precision, or with basically it just colors over things. This is a brush tool. You can sort of see how the edges are a little bit fluffier there. So that's pretty cool. You can do different brushes, which we'll talk about later. This is an eraser tool. I'll give you 5 guesses to guess what it does. Seeing as I just showed you what it does. Oh, I just changed the background color. Oh no, it erases. Okay. Here's an airbrush tool, and it kind of does things airbrush style, has to do with time. It's like MS Paint, you know. This is ink tool, so it does like a specific type of painting that, like, the longer you wait, stuff like that. I've never worked with it myself, but it's fun to play around with. This is a clone. These are clone and healing tools. These 3, which you can use for getting rid of watermarks and stuff like that. That we'll talk about in more detail at some other point. I wouldn't worry too much about that. This is a blur and sharpen tool, which you can use to blur and sharpen. I'm not actually sure what you do with this, especially since I don't know how you discern between blurring and sharpening, but whatever. This is a smudge tool. Smudging, by doing this, what you're actually doing is you're making whatever's there the average of the color. So if I smudge this down here, you're smudging it. And it's actually a pretty good tool for like cleaning up imperfections sometimes. So if I want this little gap right here, I can smudge that clean almost. Smudge it in there, and it's like that little gap didn't exist. And then this is the dodge and burn tool. I don't actually know what this does. Oh, that's cool. It makes the image lighter. Yeah, so that's interesting. You can play around with that as you see fit. Again, a lot of these tools you're going to learn, you're going to pick them up when you have a specific task to do and you Google something and it will show you how to do it. And a lot of these you're just going to play around with and see how they work. And that's the beauty of technology, is that you learn how to use it as it comes along. Anyway, this is it for me. Have a good night, everybody. Or day, or whatever. Yeah. Bye.